Hi, we're Team 14. We're doing our presentation for our CS308 final report. I'm Aaron Picker. I'm a software engineering major.
And I'm Brett Mills, computer engineering major.
I'm Ryan Mills. I'm also a software engineer major.
And I'm Anita Ashe. I'm computer science.
And I'm Dallin Gilbert, and I'm studying software engineering.
All right. The topic of our report is the security of electronic voting machines, and especially as they relate to the state of Idaho and Idaho's processes. Our objectives today are going to be to describe Idaho's current voting system. We're going to highlight some vulnerabilities that we see in the system as it is right now. We're going to discuss possible solutions, including solutions to our solutions, meaning that the solutions that we come up with may not be perfect and we have additional factors that will help to make that more secure. And in the end, we'll recommend an action for the state to take. As it is right now, Idaho's 44 counties operate independently of one another. So there isn't any set way of doing voting throughout the state. 27% of the counties operate with paper-only ballots, meaning that the voter will mark their vote on a piece of paper. The paper is counted by a person, and the results are reported by person. The other 73% of Idaho's counties use ballot scanning machines in one form or another. The ballot scanning machines are such that the person votes on a piece of paper. The result is scanned with a machine and counted with a machine, and then the reports, the totals are reported by person, again, in a similar manner to the paper-only ballots. Now in Idaho, there is not any kind of auditing system. Audits only happen in the event of a recount. So if a recount doesn't occur, no one is auditing the results of Idaho's voting system.
And with that being said, when we have a paper-only voting system, humans are involved at every single step of the process, from the collection of ballots, the counting of votes, and the transmission of the totals to the central office are all done by people. You see, people are not always reliable and are definitely prone to mistakes. And it may appear that the cost benefit for such systems is worth the risk of having human involvement. However, with no auditing system in place, no one audits these systems to verify the results. So no one can really be sure if their vote is accurate or actually being counted. So the cost benefit is really irrelevant. What we must do is significantly decrease the human involvement within Idaho's voting system. And another potential solution we discovered was just to simply employ specialists to help out. An old English proverb says, 2 heads are better than one. It's pretty simple. You know, the more brilliant minds we get together, we can get a solution. And when we have 3 examples of potential and really good potential specialists that could help us. For example, the first being a computer scientist, Hari Hursty. He discovered a bunch of vulnerabilities back in 2006 through a research project within e-voting machines. Another one is Alex Halderman, who is a professor of computer science at the University of Michigan. He bought his own voting machine off of eBay, and through his own research with his students, he exploited many vulnerabilities within that voting machine. And then he was able to publish that and show it to the world, hey, we need to fix this. And finally, which kind of seems like the oddball, is to employ our own hackers. There are professional hackers out there and enthusiasts as well. And we found that a bunch of them get together at an annual convention in Las Vegas called DEF CON, where they get together and they look for vulnerabilities within e-voting machines and other such vulnerabilities. So we found that these people can help. They're brilliant. They're outside resources, and if we just pay them and offer grants, they will help us.
So one thing we found as we did our research is that modems tend to present a vulnerability. Now, most voting machines are closed network, meaning that they're not connected to the internet. However, what people fail to realize is voting machines transfer their data via modem. And this kind of presents an opening. With today's age, modems are increasingly connected to the internet, as most things are. There's a quote from the Congressional Research Service, and they said, vendors in election jurisdictions generally state that they do not transmit election results from precincts via the internet, but they may transmit them via a direct modem connection. However, even this approach may be subject to attack via the internet, especially if encryption and verification are not sufficient. That is because telephone transmission systems are themselves increasing connection to the internet. So this increased connection allows for hackers to be able to connect to that modem and then alter the results. This is especially dangerous because hackers can do this, install this malware without detection. This is possible because when they install the malware, they program it so that it will only be activated when the voting starts. This makes pre-checks for voting inadequate to detect this software on the voting machines. And then in addition for this, the program will delete itself once the voting is over. And by this time, the damage is already done. They've already altered the voting counts, and they've done what they set out to do. And this can be detrimental for our nation's security and for voter confidence. We came up with several solutions to help combat this issue. The first solution we came up with is not having a modem connected to the voting machines. And this helps the voting machines be completely isolated, meaning that they're not being able to access by hackers because they have no connections to the outside world. And from this step, we want to take a copy of the results on the voting machine and then transmit those via modem. Although we know the vote is not the most secure, it's more secure than the internet. In addition to this, because we know there could still be tampering involved, we set up another verification method via the phone. What will happen is the precincts will then call and verify the information on their original copy on the voting machine against that of the information that they sent over to make sure none of the results have changed. And then in addition to this, we also want there to be a paper trail. And this kind of serves two purposes. One, it allows the voting machines to be audited by officials to make sure they're functioning correctly and that they haven't been tampered with. In addition, it allows the voters to have increased confidence in the voting machine. And also, we want the voting machine to immediately display to the voter who they voted for so that they themselves can check to make sure the voting machine is working properly.
So in Georgia, a federal judge overseeing a challenge that Georgia's voting system is outdated and needs to be replaced said that Georgia must scrap all of their old voting machines after 2019 because they just no longer meet the standards for voting machines. So more secure electronic voting depends upon consistent updating. improvement needs to be an ongoing process because technology is always innovating and changing. The best software for e-voting machines in 2016 won't be the best in 2020. Like was seen in Georgia, their old voting machines were just no longer up to par with what was acceptable in 2019. What is secure against hackers? What is secure against all these vulnerabilities that could be in 2019 but weren't back in 2010 when they were manufactured? So therefore, it is important that professionals are employed to assess the software used in the current electronic voting machines routinely to maximize voting security.
So, as we stated before, Idaho's current voting system has a large amount of human interaction, which can lead to vulnerabilities in the system. And the vulnerabilities of Idaho's voting system consist of human error, human meddling, a lack of auditing, and no voter feedback in real time. So implementing the ballot scanner machines as we move towards some solutions, some possible solutions, we got to implement those ballot scanning machines to audit votes in real time, keeping machines updated, and transmitting votes via modem. And with these points in mind, we'll move to our recommended action. So it is our recommendation to the state of Idaho that we start implementing a system like the one displayed in this figure. This system would provide a more secure voting process as it is less vulnerable than your standard electronic voting machine. The process would start with a voter who fills out their ballot and uses the ballot scan machine to send their results. The ballot scanner would then provide immediate feedback to voters to ensure that their vote was counted for. After polls have closed, the original results are copied and duplicated, and then the results are sent automatically via modem, absent of a internet connection. After results are sent to our modem, results will then be received by the central office and compared to our original copies by calling to verify. And those individuals on the other end would just verify that those results are correct.
All right, that is our presentation. We just want to make a note that because the audience for this presentation is the 308 class, we did not feel the need to include the budget and timeline since those things would be largely irrelevant to a group of students. And with that, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us. Thank you.